everyone. I am Dr. Vernita Glenn White, known as Dr. V, and thank you so much for joining me on another day of Vlogmas. All right, so today we're going to talk about a question that I get asked the most. In some form, shape, or fashion, people ask me this particular question. How did I do it? Or how do I keep making shifts or reinventing myself and things like that? The interesting part is I didn't have an answer. I didn't think that I made so many shifts. But when I sat down to think about it, I was a K-12 teacher. I taught sixth grade for 4 years, sixth grade math. And then I transitioned to being an instructional coach in a high school where I was over about 17 mathematics teachers. And I was on the path of becoming an administrator. I had gotten my master's degree. I passed the leadership exam. I was applying for the jobs to be an assistant principal. I was interviewing, got hired in one district, but I was like, I don't know if I want to be in that district, things like that. And then I left the K-12 school district and went to pursue my doctorate full time. So I gave up teaching, went to pursue that, did that for 3 years, came back to the K-12 system, but then I worked as a district mathematics specialist over failing elementary and middle schools for transformational school office. And then I became a professor, a college professor. And then I started doing consulting work. I'm an author. I'm a national speaker in the professional organization circuit, I should say. And I'm also a national speaker in personal leadership and personal empowerment as well. So now that I'm looking at it, and I probably missed some things in there too, but now that I'm looking at it, I guess I have transitioned a lot, but it didn't feel like a lot of transitions until I had to sit down and think about it. I'm also a friend, a sister, a granddaughter. I'm in a sorority. I'm in several other organizations. And yeah, so there are like a lot of parts of me, and people are like, well, how do you keep doing what you're doing? And I thought it was natural. I am a high achiever, and I don't mean that in a bragging way. Like, high achiever is anyone who's out there producing something, getting things done, going to school, excelling in work, doing your own business, creating music, anything like that. A high achiever isn't always academic. That's just my area. A high achiever can be anything. Like, that's if you're not sitting on the couch being lazy, if you are always going after something, you are in high achiever. So if you heard that in some of my other videos, I don't want you to think that you're not a high achiever. Now, if you're sitting at home and you just always are on your phone scrolling and you're not doing anything, you keep making excuses about not accomplishing certain dreams or going after certain things, then you're not a high achiever. Just putting it out there. But anyway, so now that we've cleared that up, majority of you watching are probably high achievers. I'm pretty sure you are. But anyway, so when I say that, I thought it was natural. Like, well, if something didn't work out, or if I wanted to switch career paths, then I just do it, right? But that takes a lot. And I didn't realize that there are so many people who are stuck in careers that they do not like because they are afraid to make the shift. So in my book, yes, I'm plugging my book again because it's coming out December 22nd. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, like my comments about my book launch post so you can be entered into the giveaway. But I talk about like 5 areas of things that I had to do in my personal life that allowed me to keep excelling in my professional life. Well, let me take that back. I realized that I realized that I did these 5 things in my professional life that caused me to keep going. And then to get to another level, I had to apply those same things in my personal life. And I talk all about that in my book. The general part, because the book is called Embracing Grit for Greatness. If you don't know the concept of grit, look at Dr. Angela Duckworth, and she's done a fabulous study on grit. She's not the first one who talked about grit because the concept of grit has been around a long time. But what she did, I don't know if it's like she mainstreamed it, whatever the case, she's been known as the grit lady. So she's done research talking about grit. And I realized that I had a certain level of grit to keep me going. So if people told me that I couldn't do something, or if I had an idea that I wanted to do something, or if I felt stuck and I felt like someone was holding me back, I was like, forget this. I'm going to go figure out and do my own path. And I'll tell you two things that, because grit is broken down into several characteristics. I talk about 5 of them in my book. I'll share 2 of them with you today, of how people keep asking me, how did I make this transition, or how do I keep reinventing myself? How do I keep moving forward? The 2 areas that I'm going to talk to you about are courage and endurance. So having the courage to say, okay, I know I need to make a change. I don't know what it's going to look like on the other side. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm going to move anyway. I talk about the difference between courage and bravery, because courage is a mindset. If I give several examples in the book, but you have to, in your mind, you have to say, okay, we're going to take this next step. We believe in ourselves. And let me tell you, we may not 100% believe in ourselves, but it's enough belief to keep to get us to move forward. When I went to transition from being a K-12 teacher to going to get my doctorate full time, there were other people at my high school where I worked who wanted to make that shift as well. A lot of them had already started doctoral programs and probably didn't finish. Several of them were like, oh my gosh, this is a perfect time, because I got the idea from someone else. Like, I didn't think about pursuing a doctorate degree. I got the idea from someone else who had really thought about it. And she was like, hey, can you do this with me? And I'm like, sure, why not? Yeah, strange, I know. But a lot of people didn't take the step. Even the person who initially had the idea, she didn't follow through with it. Now, I don't know if she ever went back. I mean, this has been years and years ago, but at the time she didn't finish. And then I remember going through the process, being excited, talking to some of my coworkers about what I'm about to do. And they put like all these thoughts in my mind. Some of them were like, oh my gosh, congratulations, go for it. And then the other people were like, are you sure? Didn't they say you have to go full time? Because a particular degree that I signed up for, I had to go full time. There was no part-time setting. It was like you give up your job and you are essentially a full-time student. And they were like, well, what are you going to do for money? This, that, and the other. And I had no answers. I was like, I don't know. I'm just feeling this pull to go to school. So I had to take the courage to make that step. But I also had the mindset to say, you know what? You've accomplished so many other things in your life. Why not? Right? So just having the courage to take the step anyway. And even if you don't have the answers all figured out, I have been learning this even more and more, because academics come easy to me, but I also had to have the courage to, one, come on YouTube and start talking to people who may or may not be there. I had to tell myself, hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. At least have fun, enjoy the process. A lot of people want to start YouTube channels, and even though there are millions of people doing YouTube, there's still millions and millions of people who are not. So taking that courage, taking the step, not being so attached to outcomes, because what's the worst that can happen? Either you don't watch my video, or if I did take the step to go to school and what if I flunked out? Whatever the case may be, at least I took that step. And so don't be afraid to take the step, because it may or may not work out, but you go in with the intentions of it's going to work out some way. And that's, to me, that was courage. And that's part of how I started transitioning with every single thing. Writing the book, same thing. So this is my second book. My first book is Practical Applications for Biblical Principles, Lessons from Our Mother. I co-wrote this with my sister, and it was based on my mother's teachings. She was a Sunday school superintendent, Bible study teacher, traveling evangelist, all of that. And she wanted to write a book, but she never had the opportunity to do that because she passed away of breast cancer. So I found her notes, and I went through and turned it into a book. That took courage as well. So many people say they want to write books and they never do. So now I'm on book number 2. For book number 2 is more personal because it is about my life. It is about my journey. And I had to say, okay, one, people may or may not read it. 2, some people may judge me about the information that I put in. Some people may look at me differently, but you know what? It doesn't matter because I felt called to write the book and share because it's not about me. It's about helping someone else. So when you look at things like that, it's like if you take yourself out of it, take the step anyway, knowing that it's going to make you a better person, but also it's going to touch the lives of so many other people, whether directly or indirectly, then that helps you to move forward. So all of that takes courage. So all of that was number 1, courage of how I constantly, I guess, reinvent or transition or transfer my skills to something else. Number 2 is endurance. So endurance, if you think about endurance, and I talk about this in the book as well, we think about like athletes a lot, like, stamina, endurance, whether it's running, swimming, playing basketball, football, tennis, hockey, figure skating, whatever. We think about endurance, as far as their body and how they train and how they eat and how they prep, all of that stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure like they don't wake up saying, I want to run these 5 miles today, but they do it because they know the end goal of whether it's the tournament, the championship, the game, whatever it is, they have a goal that they need to accomplish. They have something that they need to finish. They can't just show up the day of, say, all right, I'm ready, without putting in the prep work. It takes years, days, months, all of that. And they have to constantly build up that stamina. As it relates to grit and like my professional life, it was how much work are you willing to put forth in accomplishing this goal? How many classes are you willing to take to get this degree? How many hours are you willing to spend writing these papers? How many hours are you willing to spend to do your research project? And you do these things like day in and day out without seeing, results. And that's the other part of endurance. You may not see results for a long time, like athletes. Yes, they have these great bodies, but I'm pretty sure it's taking them months to get into shape. And even at their peak performance, they may like be at a plateau, and it may take a shift or something for them to adjust to see even more results. Like it doesn't happen immediately, but they keep going because they know the end goal. Same thing with academics. When I was doing my PhD program, yes, I took all of these classes. Yes, it was brutal. I knew that it would end somewhere at some point, but it got a little tricky when it came to the dissertation process because coursework ends. Coursework is only so many classes in the program that you're going to take. The dissertation, however, does not have an end date. You determine the end date for your dissertation. Well, you and your committee, but essentially you determine that end date. So it's like you're doing work, you're doing edits, you're submitting your papers and over, and your committee could be like, yes, no, but you keep doing it, not really knowing when the end is going to come. You take that endurance and you keep going because in your mind it's like, okay, eventually it has to to end. And I know that may sound weird to you, but think about it in your professional career or whatever you excel at. You didn't see results right away. If it was a business, you kept doing whatever you needed to do to get that business started. If it was writing a book, you kept writing page after page after page after page after page until you felt that it started taking shape. If you are a song producer or a songwriter, you probably kept writing verse after verse after verse after verse, or rearranging notes after notes and notes and so on and so forth, and you didn't give up. Right, you knew what you wanted to accomplish, and even though you didn't see the results, you kept going. And I think for so many people who haven't made the transition, they've given up. Right now, I'm not gonna lie, there are some things I wanted to do, like for example, speak Spanish, and that's going to be a goal in 2021 because I've been trying to learn Spanish for like 15 years, and it's like, really, but I keep giving up. It's like I didn't have the endurance. Right, I was like, man, I can't get it, or I'll learn it and then I try to practice with someone. And in my mind, I am fluent. But then I start talking to the person. I'm like, oh man, I'm slow. I can't get it. And I just give up. So I haven't had the endurance to do that. So I don't want you to think that I'm always like, yeah, I stick with everything. No, I don't. But the things that I do stick with, I know I didn't get results immediately right away, but I was determined to make sure I got end results and the outcome was accomplished. So that's how I've been able to transition. And again, like I said, some people have given up too soon. It's like Napoleon Hill. I think it was Napoleon Hill who talks about it in Think and Grow Rich. We're stopping 3 feet away from gold. And it was in the story, it was either Napoleon Hill or Earl Nightingale. Somewhere I heard the story. And it was like this miner was digging for gold. I think it was for years, just kept digging, digging, digging. It's like, where is this gold? Where is this gold? He did all of this stuff. And then he was like, you know what? Forget about it. I've been digging for years. I'm going to say years. It may have been months, but I'm going to say years. I've been digging for years. I still haven't found it. I know it's here. And that's the part of endurance. Like, I know the outcome, but I am tired of looking. I am tired of writing. I am tired of reading. I am tired of showing up on these videos. I am tired of sending off resumes. I am tired of whatever it is that you want to accomplish. So think about it like that. And then one day, someone, I guess some technology had advanced or whatever the case may be, someone else came in because they heard the story. They're like, oh, is gold here somewhere? Because why would this person be doing all this digging for this long if it really wasn't there? But they did a survey of the land with the new technology, and they found that had the man kept digging 3 more feet, 36 inches, and I think that's 1 meter. All of my people who use the metric system, comment below if I got that right. And yes, I'm a mathematics person, but me and measurement didn't really get along. But anyway, 3 feet is not far. You know, 1, 2, 3, and gold was right there. He gave up too soon. So if you know in your hearts of hearts, like, you know there's an outcome, you know you want to accomplish something, you know it's time for you to transition. And let's say you had the courage to take the step. But then it's like, okay, I'm not seeing it. I'm not losing the weight. No one's picking up my book. No one looked at my article. No one's on my blog post. No one's watching my YouTube channel, all of that. And then all of a sudden, if you quit, you'll never know. But if you know that you've been called to do whatever it is, you have to keep going and have that endurance. And endurance for me means you're enjoying the process, even though it's hard. You're learning more about yourself in the process. You're not so focused on, and you hear this all the time, you're not so focused on the results. You're looking at the journey. But that is so true. And I know it's cliche. Please believe me. I know things are cliche. I hate when I agree with things that are cliche because they're so cliche. But if you take a step back and look at, everyone's not doing what you're doing. You're on a journey or on a path that, even though it's hard to you, you can look to the left, to the right, to the back, on the side, and people aren't doing it. They may have said they wanted to, but you are doing it. So the fact that you are on the path, give yourself some credit, enjoy the process, realize that you're going to need endurance to achieve whatever goal it is, and think about how you're going to be on the other side of that. Oh my gosh, I could get so deep into that, but I won't because it's in the book. But yes, all of that to say, like, I'm getting excited. So the other part that helped me to transition, again, I'm looking back over the life lessons, and now I'm actually applying the lessons in my life now to move forward. I think about the person who I had to become to take the step, the courage, and to continue on the process. And then I look at who I have become, the person I am today, because I went along that journey and I kept the right attitude, I kept the right mentality, and all of that great stuff. So yes, those are my two things. People ask me, how do I do it? They ask me that, like, how did I write a book? How do I get this job? How did I do that? How did I start a YouTube channel? All of that. And it started with those two things, those two characteristics of grit, because grit is a real thing. Go look it up. And then also you can learn more about it in my book that's coming out. But seriously, if you learn something from me today, write it down in the comments. Let me know what you think about courage and endurance. And if you are someone who constantly reinvent themselves and people are looking at you in amazement, like, wow, how did you know you wanted to do that? What made you leave your job and pursue fashion or whatever it is? And you may have thought, one, it came easy to you, or two, you did it out of a necessity, or three, you did it out of hurt. Whatever the case is, you did it. And whatever that is for you, write that down in the comments because I am curious to hear about what characteristics you use to make that transition or to make that shift. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. V. Again, thank you so much for listening and learning with me. The reason why I want you to put things in the comments because this is a community and I also want to learn from you. All right, so I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.